we have too much to say about our mothers, our love for them, their love for us, their passion. And Nico Mbaga did justice to that amazing classic. It's Classic FM 94.3 Abuja, the only station that plays every song you know. 10 a.m. on the dot. I've been talking about it, hyping it. It's time for Live Nuggets. Alright, my name is Eteks. Tuesday, 16th day of April 2024. And this is quite nostalgic for me. I'm a little starstruck, a little emotional, different mixed feelings, you know. But if you've been following, you've seen that we have an awesome time on Live Nuggets. We have legends, eminent personalities across different fields to come and talk about their lives and careers and leave us with nuggets that add to what we already know and just improve our worldview. And today, I'm here with a very special guest who's like a mother to me, a mentor. I mean, in the field of media, she is an icon. Public speaking, you don't want to go there. If you want to enter that matter, it's in fact, you by the time she starts speaking, you understand what I'm saying. You know, she's a media consultant and has been even giving back over the years to humanity for that particular role that she's played in our lives. So without further ado, I just want to say you're very welcome, Mrs. Eugenia Abu.
Thank you so very much. Eteks, it's wonderful to be here. I'm glad I finally made it.
I'm overjoyed. You're very welcome.
Thank you.
I'm just excited because we have been talking about this and planning this, and there's always something to leave with on Life Nuggets. There's something I leave with, something hopefully you get impressed by, and so being a media juggernaut, a media veteran, how did this journey start?
Okay, it's an interesting question because sometimes when I read social media issues about myself, they sometimes get it wrong. So I'm glad for this question.
Okay.
I actually started my career in broadcasting pretty much by accident. I was waiting to go into the university, and there was a long lull, maybe about 3 or so months while we're waiting for admission.
Okay.
And this would be in 1979. And I then heard a radio station, Radio Benue Makudi at the time, doing test transmission. I have no idea what led me to ask my father if I could go and try. And he said I should go. And when I got there, they took me as an intern.
Okay.
And that's where it all really began in 1979. I was continuity announcer after I had been tested and found to be worthy. I had no skills whatsoever, but they allowed me to run Conti after they auditioned me and taught me what to do. And then I did the request programs as well, which was pretty exciting because then again, that is where you hear a lot of songs, which is really the mantra of your station, isn't it?
It is.
Yes.
It is. The station that plays every song,
Yeah, I hear that all the time. So, and because I love music, being the presenter of a request program made it even better. But at that time also we had NTBB. I believe it still exists, not to be broadcast when a song is insulting someone or is not good to air. So we learned a lot of things, and that's where the career started.
Interesting.
I started with radio.
So, welcome my senior colleague in radio. Purpose is something that's very important, and having been created and on this earth, it is crucial to ask oneself, why am I here? And that's something that resonates with me. I just want to know if, for you, your journey and your career has helped you in this light.
Yes. As I said pre-program when we had our chit-chat, purpose is a very interesting word. Sometimes it also might mean destiny.
Exactly.
And when you are young, you really can't tell. It's a bit cloudy, isn't it? I wanted to be everything. I wanted to be a singer. I wanted to be a drummer. I wanted to be quite a lot of things. And I also wanted to be a lawyer, really, for the longest. But your purpose is not that clear if you are not deeply spiritual. And as you grow older, you begin to ask, who am I here? And sometimes you might have what you consider to be your purpose. And if it's not your real purpose, you'll be hitting your head on the wall and the door will not open. So your purpose should really be that thing that you're good at, that you can learn from quickly, and that opens and expands the horizon for the other little purposes that God has in store for you. And so your purpose would be, for example, if you decided that you wanted to become a broadcaster, or if broadcaster was thrust at you, as it was in my case, and as you grew in the field, you find that you're comfortable in there. That then becomes your purpose. It then becomes where other doors open for other things. So I would say largely, being a broadcaster has fulfilled purpose for me. Even though when I was younger, I didn't know this was my route.
Right.
But once I found that this was where I was meant to go, I took advantage of it. I picked up all the opportunities, and I think we've been good to each other, both broadcasting and I.
And awesome relationship. I found that most creatives in our industry can do most of the things you said, and you know, having been mentored by you, trained by you at some point in my life, I realized that at different points in time, I wanted to do different things in that line. I could do different things, but what was I going to focus on? And now childhood is a very key part of how I am now sitting here on the other side of the mic speaking to you. What's your favorite childhood memory so far?
You're sitting over there speaking to me is a gift. Being a broadcaster is a gift, I can tell you for free. When you are on air and you are impacting and influencing people, that's a huge major gift from God.
Absolutely.
It's not given to everyone, so I don't take it lightly. I consider it a privilege. Let's talk about childhood. One of my favorite childhood memories, other than climbing a tree and trying to get the cashew fruit from the tree, which doesn't look like me now, but in our house in Zaria there were lots of trees and there wasn't boy or girl. So we largely climbed trees and tried to get the cashew fruits or the mango fruits from it. I don't think I could climb a tree now, but I enjoyed that very much at the time. But one of my favorite childhood memories is visiting my grandfather on my mother's side. In Okene. He was a huge trader and an entrepreneur, and the second person after the king, basically, to build an upstairs, which was a big deal at his time. And so we used to hobble through the wooden staircase and to get to where he had what we considered a throne. He had a chair which only him sat on royally, and we used to like sit at his feet and listen to stories. I think it's because of him that I became a storyteller. He was an incredible storyteller, and we loved visiting. It wasn't often, but when we did, it was such a huge memory. But one of the favorite things that happened there is one of the days I arrived with a pair of new shoes. And I wanted the whole family to hear about my new shoes and where it was bought from, Kingsway at the time.
Kingsway?
Yes.
Wow.
And so I walked into the room and I said, I have a pair of new shoes and they were bought from Kingsway. It was shiny and beautiful, and I held the entire family spellbound by talking about how we bought the shoes. So storytelling, broadcasting rolled into one in that moment when the entire family clapped for me. It's an early memory, but it's a defining.
Let me clap right now. You've mentioned Makodi, you mentioned Okene, and I've heard you speak multiple languages. But where do you hail from?
Okay, I speak 8 languages. 8,
Glorious.
which is a lot. But again, I think it's a gift.
It is.
I have a sister who's married from a different ethnic group, and she just 40 years going, she just understands them and is able to speak but I speak 8 languages. If you drop me in any Nigerian city or village today, give me 3 months and I'll speak in the exact dialect of the people. So it's a gift. I don't take it for granted. And when I code switch, when I'm walking around and I speak Yoruba, and then I greet somebody in Hausa as we move along, people around me tend to think, what's going on? I'm not even thinking about it. Because it's a gift, it comes naturally to me. So I'm from Kogi State. I'm Igala. But my late mom was Igbira from Okene, which is why we were visiting my grandfather on that side. Yes. Okay. So I'm Igala, but I'm a citizen of Nigeria.
Certainly. And I do say Agbama.
That
one, I remember that one, that when I would be on beat and on duty, that I like to hear you say that, because I hear Agba Nago. I'm like, okay, even if I don't know anything in this language, I know Agba Nago.
Yes.
And it's amazing. I think that's what a polyglot is.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
amazing gift.
Yes.
Now coming to your career and the ability to roll up your sleeves and do it with the men, in this career, what has been the highlights for you of your career?
Oh, I have so many highlights. One of them being interviewing presidents.
For sure.
Right. So President Obasanjo, more than any other, I've interviewed several times on the presidential media chat that NTA ran for the longest, or something called The President Speaks. So yes, I found President Obasanjo quite an interesting individual to interview. Absolutely brilliant. And he walked into the studio in the villa 2 minutes before airtime and sat down, and then goes, "Go ahead." He never ceased the questions. So you just ask him whatever you like, and he rose to the occasion time and again. I've had the opportunity of interviewing so many people across the world, which is grace. I've visited so many homes across the world, and I'll tell you what, when Chief MKO Abiola died, I happened to be the one that read the 9 o'clock news on the day. You can imagine. And then there was my face across channels across the world, including China television, announcing the passing of Abiola. That's a momentous occasion. So while it was a very sad moment, there's still pictures online of me announcing Chief MKO Abiola's. So every time it's his anniversary, they play back the clip online, and it's all over the place. So for me, it was a defining moment for me, how hard it is to announce the passing of such a huge icon in our lives. When I did the interviews for presidents and vice presidents, and I interviewed vice presidents across board, when we had the presidential debate and President Jonathan was running again, and I recall coming home and my son saying, "All of us were waiting for you to say, 'when you win.'" As an uncle, I was guided to say, "if you win," because he was in a debate with other presidential candidates, and I was the anchor. So you can imagine how hard it was. That was difficult as well, not because of the subject matter, as it were, but because the night before my mother-in-law had passed, and I had to carry out that moderation duty on that day, doing the debate by Broadcasting Organization of Nigeria of presidential candidates for that particular election, for which President Jonathan ran again. So my son was like, "If you said 'when you win,' then we know that you want to play Ojuru, but you said 'if you win the election,' because at the time he was a presidential candidate." So these are some of the interesting things, going out in the field, being on outside broadcast for NTA in Makurdi many years ago when President Babangida was visiting. I think it would be 1988. He was visiting Makurdi, and the GOC Enugu was the one who conducted the search for all of us. There were very few women who did outside broadcasts commentary running at the time, and I was one of them. And he searched me and wanted to know, and said to them, long before we started having security challenges, he said, "Check her. You see these women I was expecting. See these women? She's pregnant like this. She can be carrying something under her skirt. Check her." And this GOC had me frisked. It was all a joke, but I remember it like yesterday, because this GOC went on to become President Abdul Salam Abubakar in the future. So these are moments that I carry in my heart, and broadcasting is the one that made all of this possible.
Amazing. Now, what immediately comes to mind is when you did interview Abdul Salam Abubakar. Did you interview him?
No, I didn't. He just became president.
Because
and when he became president, as compared to one of the early events he did, I started to walk out of the International Conference Center, because ideally, professionally, you don't go mix with your principals.
Right.
So I usually don't go looking for a president when I'm done with my comparing. It gives you the requisite respect you need. And then in the middle, a new president, all Nigerians like fireflies were all around him, and I was walking away, the event was over, and he shouted my name. years later. This was the man who now became president. I walked back, and he said, "That pregnancy you were carrying in Makudi, what did you have?" I said, "I had a boy, sir." And everybody was shocked. How does she know him? I knew him because I was on my duty post many years ago before he ever became president or thought of it. And he was GOC Enugu. And he came to secure Makudi for the president, then President Babangida.
Amazing.
Yes.
Lessons in between these conversations. If you're listening, it's Classic FM 94.3 Abuja, the station that plays every song. You know, we're on Life Nuggets with the Tekama Etogan, of course, veteran broadcaster, public speaker, media consultant, and icon, Mrs. Eugenia Abu. She's touching on different sports. I wanted to ask about challenges, but in between these highlights, I can hear some of the challenges, but I don't know if there's any splashes you want to still.
Yes, what it is that when you're a woman in broadcasting, while it's no longer new, there are still those vestiges that people tend to think that a woman is not going to be able to do it. When the late First Lady, Mrs. Obasanjo, died, my sister was ill in Gwagwalada, and I had slept in hospital with my mom. And if you're a broadcaster, you know that that's an occasion where you can't be on leave. I was on leave,
Right.
so I came back to the station. All broadcasters listen. When you're on leave and a big event happens, you can't be on leave. You show up.
We're not on leave.
So I showed up, and when I showed up, I didn't go back home. I showed up at about 5. I went home in the morning. We slept in the station because we needed to keep playing things that had to do with Mrs. Obasanjo. Her correspondent at the time, Daniel Manson, was so broken that he couldn't even give me the tapes that had pictures of her or anything, and handed me the entire bag. So I was now the person who was creating, putting those things together. That's a woman right there, her family, but I slept in the station. I've slept in the station many times when there is need to, as a young broadcaster. But there was a moment when there was going to be an interview with an ambassador, and our producer at the time, a male. Everybody knows the lead newscaster carries out the interviews. Now we have only one newscaster, but then there were two of us. And I was the lead newscaster. My co-newscaster was a male. And this producer who was male now decided that the interviews, even though I'd prepared for it, was to be carried out by my male junior colleague. And
Who hadn't prepared for it?
Who I don't know whether he had
He had
prepared for
really
it or
not.
not. But it was known, widely known, that the lead newscaster would
Was.
do the interview. That was our tradition. So I was in shock after preparing when I arrived for the program, for him to have now designated my junior male colleague
Right.
to carry out the interview. My thoughts immediately were like, he doesn't think I'm brilliant enough. He doesn't think I know about this ambassador. He doesn't think I know the issues. I'd studied and researched the matter 2 days before. I'd read every newspaper that carried the issue. I was ready for this interview. But it felt, based on my gender, that perhaps I may not rise, and gave it to my co-anchor person, who thoroughly messed it up, by the way. And so I got my pound of flesh many years down the road when he said to me, they can't seem to pronounce his French name. Could you help? I said, sorry, sir. What do I know? I don't know anything, remember? That's how to do it. Because a lot of people, including Association of Women Journalists President at the time, Mujima Konjuala, said to me, we're not going to take this line down. Why didn't you fight? I don't fight on duty.
That's a line there. You can tweet that. You can take it on X. I don't fight on duty. We don't fight on duty.
Makes you less of who you are.
Exactly. And if you're a broadcaster, if you're a creative, you know that you can have a big situation. You can have beef with your colleague. But when you go on there, hello, yes, Itoha, how are you doing? You're looking so
amazing
this morning. And then after the show, you turn on the mic. Come on, please leave this. Please, I'm talking to you. You're busy.
Broadcasting is such a life journey.
Such a life journey, and I'm enjoying this journey with you as we talk about your journey through media. Now, for the organization,
right?
That is a very legendary organization. What would you do differently if you had the chance to the organization?
My organization?
Where
I serve?
Where you serve. Like, I'm talking about
NTA.
The NTA,
of course.
yes.
Of course. I always say to people that NTA was a platform that made my purpose possible.
Right.
It was a platform that propelled me to who I am and where I am today. Of course, along with hard work, along with knowledge of the job, along with paying attention, along with being open to being mentored by your seniors. That is critical in broadcasting, and I paid attention. I learned the ropes from my seniors. What would I do differently? I think what NTA did was to provide the platform for Nollywood to become.
Okay.
As my former director general will say, we were the only game in town. Not anymore. And because we're no longer the only game in town, we have to tweak things, make it younger. Make it younger. Get younger people, lock them in what they call the cave room.
Right.
Give them sandwiches, give them what they need to work, and ask them to come out with ideas.
Awesome.
Programs today require creativity, ideas, and those things that bring color to the screen. Television is not the only game in town now. People have YouTube channels. Some of them are horrible, but they have them.
Exactly.
And some of them are really good. So we have competition everywhere. What would I do differently? I'll recreate the moments where we had Behind the Clouds, Magana Jari J, and all those soap operas that made Nollywood become today.
Awesome.
Those are classics.
They are.
Within the industry, they're called evergreens. And what I would do differently would be to go and look for them, package them, and have them sold to people who are looking for content today. Because Richard Mofedamijo remains a classic when you see him in Checkmate.
That's right.
Kunle Bantefa remains a classic when you see them in Checkmate.
That's right.
All the phenomenal women, Egoboyo, today they still remain classics.
Right.
And when they get on television, in any program at all, they continue to push the envelope. NTA provided that.
Right.
We had somebody called Chris Obi-Rapo, director extraordinaire. We called him Skipper. He provided the first directing for the first Nollywood movie, and he was an NTA staff. Then we were not allowed to do private. But he went ahead and did this thing quietly, and the program exploded. What has become Nollywood today started from there. So what would I do differently? I'll try to capture the essence of the past and mix it with today's modernity, and allow young people have a program where it shows that they can just be themselves. I would encourage the fact that we are standard bearers of no nudity. We'll push it. That's an envelope we should push, because today I see a lot of nudity on television. Really, to be honest, if you're showing everything, you're really just inviting people to bed.
And leaving nothing to the
And nobody allows, when you show that, your brain is not on the table. Nobody can see your brain. What it means is that you have only one thing to offer, which is your body, which is unfortunate.
Highly unfortunate. And you see, for me, I'm just hearing "speak out for the world to hear." I'm hearing the shows I saw as a child, and I literally agree with the packaging, the content. A lot of series we need to have these days.
Zebrodaya, all those
Zebrodaya,
shows, you know.
New Masquerade,
New
and
Masquerade,
Willy
yes.
Willy and the
Yes.
likes. And I want my children to also have that
Village
kind
Headmaster
of
has been redone and
Is it redone?
repackaged.
Okay. And
It's,
you
it's
like
back
it?
on NTA. It doesn't carry the essence of the past that much. It's modern, but it's good to see that we're doing those things. We should do more of them.
We should do more of them.
Yeah.
Abiku, and I saw Madam Koi Koi, and it reminded me of Body School. I said more of that.
Yes,
More of that.
absolutely. Yeah.
Interesting conversation. We're still right here on Live Nuggets with Eteks on Classic FM 94.3 Abuja, the station that plays every song you know. I'm here with my very special guest, Mrs. Eugenia Abu, who for the longest time has had that surname. Amazing. I want to talk about romance. Because I know that that's the name I've known. So how has that also blended in with you navigating this career of yours? This super career of yours?
My husband has been my forte after my
Forte.
parents. Reason being that I married him when I was 21. He was 26.
Wow.
And last year, December, we turned 40 years.
God, when?
Mr. Abu is my friend, my brother, and now my parent. I don't have my parents anymore. So when people admire me and they say, "Oh, you look very nice," I say, "Let me go and tell Mr. Abu to pay more money." Then he goes to who? Your parents are dead. I'm like, please pay it to the church. They are my family as well. But there you have it. I've been married to him for the longest.
Right.
And my surname, my father's name was Alfred Amodu.
Okay.
So I was Eugenia Amodu through school. But because I married so young, nobody can remember my father's name. If I were to do it again, I might have been Amodu Abu. It's too late. So everybody knows me as Abu for the longest.
That's right.
The Abu behind the brand is the man who has held my hand through this journey. Without him, I may not have been as successful. Without him, I may not have achieved what I've achieved. He's my greatest cheerleader. He's my supporter after God, and I'm grateful for him.
I'm grateful for you, Daddy Abu.
And the children.
And the children.
If they didn't behave themselves, I may have been elsewhere, but they're very good children.
Awesome.
I'm very pleased.
Awesome. We're pleased as well. We can't take out all of these aspects and these people, these loved ones you have that have made this an awesome story. Talking about advice, you have touched on some of the things I wanted to touch on, but for the young aspiring broadcaster, what would you say?
I think one, you should be committed to the craft. Commitment is important. I think discipline is critical. You can't be coming for your show and be late. That was one of the things we were taught. You must be early. If you have a show and you are not really running things in the station as you're present, you have to come in at least 2 hours before. First, because you need to have a relationship with your engineer, with your editor, with your producer, if you are on air. So discipline. What you do off live, when you are not on radio or television, is important. You can go to the fish market and have a quarrel. Because if the fish market, the fish woman decides to throw you fish water, you will be the subject matter. So you walk away from things that are crisis or that are controversial. You don't go around being a firefly, courting the media so hard. If you go looking for me, you might find me very rarely. Because you need to keep it together. If you're all over the place and there's a problem, it becomes a scandal. So you need to preserve yourself in that field. You need to learn from your superiors. You need to give respect to them. And what I see in the military is what I would like for the media. Somebody arrived somewhere before, you are senior to you. Please, can you show some respect? They know this work more than you. Show some respect. The military understand it. The media sometimes doesn't. We need to show that there were people that were there before, our forebears. The Iken Nanda Gubas, for me, the Hawa Baba Ahmeds, CNN Owe Brown, who was my senior as well. And you need to give them their due, but they are Lalade, Yori Folarin, Yinka Craig. These were the people we looked up to. Lola Lakija, foreign news correspondent for all times, and all times, really. These are the people, the Chris Anyangus of this world. They were there before you. You give them their due. Today I find that broadcasters don't do that. They should. They really must. Otherwise you can't learn much and people will not give you your own due when it's time. Learn the craft. Don't think because you can speak string, you can be a broadcaster. It's not about string. There's discipline, there's craft, there's elocution, there's pronunciation, there's your ability to be quick on your feet. These things require your head in the right place. And again, you must make sure that you have a strong support base of your family. Surround yourself with good friends. Don't surround yourself with the ones who will go and susu on you. Because you are now your public figure. And once you become a public figure, there are people around you who may be envious. They're the ones who will spoil your name. Carry yourself well. Your confidence, your courage matters. You can't go around the world wearing tattered clothes. So how you look matters. That's right. So my advice to them, it's not about being an OAP, which I hear a lot of. I don't understand what that means. I'm an on-air personality. Really? What are you? You're just a broadcaster, please. Excuse me. But it's okay. They're young. They can.
Shots fired.
They can put that in their CV. It's okay.
Right.
But you need to deliver the goods, as you have done excellently on this program.
Thank you so
by
much,
going forward with what you have been taught, by asking the questions that elicit the right answers, by being present, by being a good listener. That's what makes a good broadcaster. By respecting everybody you work with. This is what it's about, isn't it?
I'm honored, man.
It's all true.
That is, you heard it here live, Tuesday, 16th April 2024, by veteran broadcaster Eugenia Abu, that I am doing what it takes to be a great broadcaster.
Eteks is doing well. I'm very proud of you.
Thank you so much, man. I really do appreciate it. And there's somebody calling. This is first for the live nugget. Let's find out who's calling. Let's find out. Hello, good morning.
Morning.
Good morning. Who's on the line?
Oluwaseun is my name.
You're welcome.
That's Madam She's a real model.
Okay.
Good Nigerian. She's a personality one who always loves to relate to. She's forbearance. I'm really glad that you have her this morning.
Me too, sir.
It's long overdue. I'm looking forward to a time when the authority will organize and the structural, an institution where she can take uniqueness,
Okay.
refinement, and I love her sense of discipline. She's good. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for sharing that.
You're the best.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We talk about it and we have people without work at old school. When you mention old school, me, I'm looking at the situation where they will use it to better their lot.
Right.
But the opposite is always the case. They say old school, old school. when we were coming up, Eugenia is there with me, she was there witness to what I'm saying. We were teaching people to the best is yet to come. And I tell you, as we speak, things degenerate in forces. I mean, just see that, well, we will still have people like this around, and maybe the government and the people of something will look back and try to do it, and the people back together. Thank you so much. You made my day.
Our pleasure, our pleasure. Thank you so much. Very glad to be able to make your day. I mean, and it's an honor. It's talking about, government bringing forums where we can have more of your colleagues and contemporaries still pass on these values. And I'm glad that on this day we're able to pass it on. Somebody else is calling. I think we can just let's hear what they have to say. Hello.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
It's Vino.
Vino, you're welcome.
How's work?
Great. I'm having a great time at work. I don't know how are you feeling on the other
I'm
end.
feeling you. I've been listening from the very start. I was driving actually, so I parked.
Okay.
And good morning to your guest.
Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Vino. Thank you for joining in.
The first time I met her, I was spellbound. And
Oh.
even on radio, I'm spellbound.
Join the queue, my brother.
You came to my church in Suleja, Equa Church. Uncle, the wedding. You emceed and went a wedding, I remember. I was at the back and it was really great listening to her. She was in charge. It was not just the news and everything. Doing her life. So, good work, madam. Good work.
Thank you so much.
I'll take it on from where the last caller stopped. Eteks.
Yeah.
Madam Eugenia, you guys are making my year, not new year.
Oh, we're glad. Thank you, Vino.
I still recall growing up having a bed, reading the news. Of course, you can't talk about Madam Eugenia without the Stova, without the late Yakubu Ajayi, without the Kakred and the rest. Our Papa Ahmed, because 9 o'clock, you have to sit down and listen to me. Daddy will come and listen to what's happening. So it was really, really great listening to you, and it's good still listening to you, and the nuggets you put out. I mean, what you have talked about concerning upcoming broadcasters, I think it applies to everyone. You need to be disciplined, you need to give props or respect to those who are there before you. You need to be, you need to read wide, you need to be quick and up on your feet. I mean, there are things that we should apply to our personal lives and even on our different jobs. So I really, really appreciate what you said about the classics.
Right.
Magana Jari, Behind the Cloud. I still remember one of the characters that died. I think.
Yeah.
And then I forgot one, Basti and the Company. Basti and Company.
There are many. Right.
Basti and Company, yeah. So I wish there will be a repackaging of those soap ops so that the younger generation can have a feel of what we felt back then.
All right. I appreciate you, Vino.
Yeah,
I agree with
alright,
you.
alright.
I totally agree with you. And this is me literally paying my respects to my mom, my mentor. And I think we can just take another call. Hello, who's on the
Yeah,
line?
I pay my respect to Promise Abraham.
Oh, Promise Abraham, you're welcome.
Yes, let me hear Madam voice. Madam Abu.
I salute you. Promise. Thank you for joining in. We appreciate
Yes,
you.
I've been an admirer for a long time. Since I was small. Because you're a woman that respects yourself, always reserved and intelligent. So I appreciate you. Happy to talk with you. Happy to hear your voice once again. You talk like one South African broadcaster, more popular. I don't know if you heard about her.
Yes, I have.
More popular like that.
Yes.
Yes, the way you talk, people talk alike. So I just want to show appreciation and appreciate you, and also my family station before.
Classic FM. I appreciate you, Promise Abraham. Thank you.
Guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
Thank you so much. Well, I don't know about South Africa. I mean, I'm sure that broadcaster speaks and uses elocution and diction. That must be the similarity because Mrs. Abu is a Nigerian citizen, please. Well, in Nigeria, we're fully claiming this one. I'm taking it to WhatsApp. If you're calling, I don't know if we can take all your calls, but I decided to take some of the calls coming in. WhatsApp, Abdurrahman says, never knew Eugenia Abu had another career as a motivational speaker. Great stuff. All right. Thank you. You didn't say your name. Is it Adedoyin Omoba says, thanks for having her. She's blessed and a blessing. Amen. I totally agree. And Solomon Akiesi, who's an actor, producer, director, says it's such a huge delight having our dear, very, very dear Mrs. Eugenia Abu on our all-time favorite radio station. Please, it is crucial that she helps us address the issue of forced phonetics on radio, especially by the ladies. They so force British accent that they are almost choking on it. So far, only Etekamba speaks unpretentious. See, I'm representing this station. I defend all my presenters. They speak well. Thank you, Mr. Solomon. It's a pleasure. We can go on and on. I feel like if we want to stretch it to 1 hour, we could, but Mrs. Gina has other engagements. But please, this time around, they've said you were giving life nuggets. You've been running out your 3 crucial life nuggets.
Okay. First, I'd like to thank everybody who called in and those who couldn't make it through. All of you are loved, and I'm grateful for all your accolades. I appreciate it. I'd like to make them double-edged.
Okay.
So the nuggets will not be just one.
Okay.
It will be 2 in 1 for each one.
Jara.
Aha. So let my nuggets. One of them is kindness. You see, there's nothing that kindness cannot do. If you're a kind person, you'll be humble. So kindness and humility. Unfortunately, we have people who have been in this career who cannot keep their shoulders down. They're not humble. And when you're not humble, crash is in front. You need to be humble because you're dealing with audiences you can't see, and therefore you never know when you will meet them, and they will judge your character if you're not a humble person. So kindness and humility always wins for me. Charity. When you're a giver, even if it's a pencil you give everybody you work with every year. Charity may not mean a physical thing, may mean a smile or a kind word to somebody
Very charitable.
who you do not know may be having a hard time or is depressed. Just say a kind word to everybody you meet. So charity comes along with faith for me. You need to have something bigger that you believe in, bigger than you.
Right.
Whatever your religion is, faith keeps you centered, prevents you from falling apart, prevents you from being too big for your britches. So faith is important. And I think that when you put hard work to the table, if you're a hard-working person, it will show. It's not about sending, as reporters do sometimes these days, sending your cameraman to cover an event while you are sleeping. You have to be dedicated to the craft. So hard work, commitment and dedication is the other one. I'd like to throw in for the final word from the gentleman who spoke. You have to be in your natural timber. If you have a forced accent, everybody will know you're a fake. When they then meet you on the ground and you can't keep up the accent, it's not sustainable.
Right.
After some time, the way you normally speak will come out. And all of us will know that you are pretending. So you can't in this field. Broadcasting will show the kind of person you are, even from your voice. It'll tell if you're happy, if you're a fake, if you're good at your job. So use your natural timber, and more than anything else, be a reader.
Be a reader.
You must be reading, otherwise you're finished. You must be reading so that you can pick up things like that when you're on live TV or you're running commentary. You have to have all the research in the world. It's the way we thrived. Me and Cyril will thrive like that, and all the other broadcasters ahead of us and behind us who are doing great stuff. I salute them.
Readers are leaders, for sure. And Mrs. Eugenia Abu is not just saying all these things she's saying. She's going an extra mile to give back to young people and to adults who want to get it. So just talking a little bit about some of the projects that you have.
Yeah,
Now,
okay.
let's-
Okay, so we have the executive masterclass on public speaking, where myself and Cyril and 3 other phenomenal top-level resource persons provide an opportunity for you to speak better.
Right.
We are on to our 15th edition in a couple of days. We've done managing directors of banks. We've done chief executives, and we've done young students who want to improve their speaking. The fact that you're a broadcaster doesn't mean that you have it all together. From broadcasting, there are tributaries of other things you can do. Master of ceremony, moderator, panelist. We teach all of how to become the best of the best. I have something called the Treasured Writers, where we take children between the ages of 7 and 14. We teach them how to write, we teach them how to be kind. That happens every August. We have something called Gather Round, Women Gather Round, where we give nuggets of how to live your life better. We recently, because I love property, and I do interior decoration, I'm now looking at that side of my life, which is, I decorate my house all the time. So now I'm thinking, now that I'm retired and I'm 61, can I not now put it inside practice and get people to invite me to their homes? So we're doing it differently. So you become, when I visit your home and I look at your wall, I can say maybe you need to change the painting, let's refresh your house. And then of course, we're also establishing a friendship. So it's different than other things that we do. We're extremely busy at doing things called Get Your Foot in the Door, because we know young people are having difficulty getting jobs. So we have a 1 day, how to write your CV better, and all of that. And then we do life coaching, because sometimes people are at the junction of their life, they don't know how to go forward. People have a relationship problem. So with one of our leading resource persons and a leadership coach, Dr. Akin Oke, we do what we call lifelines. 1 day. Sometimes people have come with suicidal matters, I'm telling you. And most people don't know that I have a certificate in psychology. So that's the one I'm using for that. And going forward, we will have a place called the Happiness Place.
Wow. First of all, I want to just say that I will extend our very special welcome to my home for the interior decoration part. And then
I will come.
We'll crave every invite and welcome to the Happiness Place. So we can stay joyful and stay happy.
Yes, you can't really give somebody full happiness. Nobody can. But we'll make an attempt to point you in the right direction. There are too many people who are unhappy.
Right.
And so we want to create a safe space called the Happiness Place.
Are you happy with the show?
I think I've had the greatest of time in a very long time. I've enjoyed this. I hardly give interviews, as I'm sure you know.
Yes.
But I've enjoyed this thoroughly.
I'm glad.
It has been a conversation, hasn't it?
Yes, it has. Thank you so much. I'm glad, and hopefully we can have many more forums where these conversations and more value can be given as it has been done here.
Just a quick one to say that mentorship is the unexplored key to the development of Africa.
Right.
In the last couple of years, 5, 6, 7, I've done 500 young people. Everybody should pick up somebody that they mentor. If you do what you do well, let somebody watch you at it.
Right.
And so far we do it for free, so yeah.
I'm one of the mentees, in case you're wondering, and it's been amazing. We'll continue to have these conversations, and that everything that you've heard also aligns with what we do right here on Classic FM 94.3 Abuja, the station that plays every song. You know, it's been life nuggets with Eteks. We continue to live intentionally because life nuggets duplicate. All right, let's give you a little bit of sugar with Raskimono. It's Classic FM.